Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the GM. I'm your host, Leon Boulanger. And up next, we're going to talk about the hidden truth, right? And anything hidden means it exists, but I'm purposely keeping it from you. You follow what I'm saying? And I think that's what the Baltimore Ravens have done, especially the last 6 to 7 weeks of the NFL season. Uh, we have heard consistently since Lamar Jackson was injured that he's week to week. And then we heard uh, from a reporter that he hadn't been working hard. He had been inactive in his treatment. Then we heard the same reporter come out and recant that story. And then we heard that he was working hard to trying to get back, but we never heard what was the truth. And I'm going to show you something here in a second or two that reveals the truth, and it has been true the entire time. Okay. We understand that the Baltimore Ravens typically is a pretty buttoned up, tight-lipped organization. So we won't hold them uh, to anything more than what they've been. But it's one thing to be buttoned up, and it's another thing to withhold the truth or hide the truth and potentially damage the character of your star quarterback and also uh, create a threat that may distance him from the organization, which I believe is what has happened between Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens. And that truth was how injured he really was, right? So you can't go from week to week and then a 3 week timetable, according to ESPN, to basically being out 6 to 7 weeks in total. And as we know, or as far as we know, Lamar Jackson isn't any closer to being healthy today as the season's over than he was several weeks ago. You understand? And so I'm not sure if it was some type of tactic to keep opposing defenses from game planning for who was going to be on the center, leaving some question if Lamar Jackson would return. But I think as it pertains to fans and national media and local media in Baltimore, it looks like the Baltimore Ravens have hidden the truth, damaging the character of Lamar Jackson and damaging the relationship between Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens beyond just the contract extension. You see, um, every week we were left to wonder, is this the week Lamar returns? Is this the week Lamar returns? But he never returned. But I'm going to point to something that makes me question the Baltimore Ravens organization. We've seen repeatedly where major players go out with injury and they come back and have to go back on IR again, which either says they're pushing guys to get back on the field unhealthy, or or they're hiding the truth from fans and maybe even the players, right? I know the players are responsible for being aware of what they know and what they don't know about their health, but something is going on, right? Take, for example, Ronnie Stanley got hurt 2 years ago, hurt his ankle. He played the first game of last year and goes back on IR, which means he missed basically 2 years. And then even this year, he was not healthy to start the season. JK and Gus Edwards both um, came back this year. They didn't start the season, but came back this year. JK had to have another procedure, right? And then Gus Edwards came back, but then went back uh, to having an injured kind of status, right? Um, and so I think that his hamstring injury was linked to his last year knee injury, right? We understand what happened with Derek Wolf and um, how he ended up leaving the Ravens and retiring because of some mismanagement by the Baltimore Ravens organization. And so I think that there's too much of a track record that there is some misappropriation there, some miscalculation of by their trainers and their medical team. It seems like even take a Rashad Bateman, he gets hurt, misses a couple of weeks, he comes back. Next thing you know, he's on IR. Tylan Wallace gets hurt, goes on IR, comes back, goes back on IR. There's too many times where you seeing guys are cleared to come back after 4 weeks of IR, but then they go back on injury reserve. What is happening with the evaluation medically that is clearing these guys to come back and play? Right? I think some truth is being hidden. And I'm going to point out something as I bring this shortcast to a close. Marlon Humphreys, um, in his post game, I'm not sure if it was Sunday night or if it was the next day, like end of season interviews, but he talked about wanting Lamar Jackson back. And he talked about Lamar Jackson's health, and he specifically notes that Lamar Jackson was limping around the facility. He said, so we knew that he wasn't going to be available. Now hold it. Now, how could he be week to week, then on a 3-week timetable, then he's working hard, but he's still limping after 6 weeks? And then Sammy Watkins has the audacity to come out and say, hey, you need to basically toughen up and play through that. If he's simply limping as he is in and out of treatment, rehabbing, how could he get into a game and play? You see, in order for Sammy Watkins to make that statement, either he saw Lamar, ignored the truth, or he never saw Lamar. But see, that's why I say that there's something going on with the truth, right? Because Sammy Watkins can't make that assessment and make that statement publicly unless somebody knew he was going to say it. I think it was a way to pressure Lamar into getting back on the field. You see, it looks more and more suspect what's coming out of the Baltimore Ravens. And see, here's why I said in my other video, it looks like a player revolt. See, because those kind of statements don't come out, that kind of information does not get released in the former culture of the Baltimore Ravens. Marlon Humphreys is not coming out saying Lamar Jackson was limping around the facility a year ago or 2 years ago. Why? Because the players were on board organizationally that, hey, we're going to have a unified message. If the coaches are saying this, we're saying this. But but Marlon Humphreys let the cat out of the bag. And here's what's interesting. No other media, ESPN, Fox, or no other major sports syndication has even focused on that statement that he was limping around the locker room or the facility, what came out by a prominent Baltimore player. It sounds like there's a narrative that they're trying to spin versus really dealing with what's true. Keep your eyes and ears open to what comes out of Baltimore over the next coming weeks. I believe there will be some revelation. This is the GM, and I'm Leon. I'm out.